Former New York City mayor, the greatest one ever in New York, Rudy Giuliani, is off the hook. Federal prosecutors told a judge that he will not face criminal charges in connection with a probe into his interactions with Ukrainian figures. And Mayor Giuliani, my friend, joins us now. It's so great to have you here, Rudy. And, you know, before we get to this, I just want to get your reaction to President Trump announcing his third bid for the White House. And is that something that maybe you want to be a part of the administration if he becomes president?
That's a little too early to focus on my wanting to be part of it. Or at this point, I'm glad that he's got the stamina, the fight, and he looked younger the other night than I remember him a few years ago. So all these people who are saying, you know, the Republicans don't want him, and gosh almighty, I don't know how many times people have counted Donald Trump out. I can give you 5.
Yeah, by the way, you're right. He looked energetic. I thought he also sounded quite presidential, Rudy. What was your reaction just to his speech? I thought it was a great speech, great tone, and it was about unifying the country.
Well, maybe he sounds presidential because he was the president, right? The others weren't. And they all talk about their record. Well, they have a record as a governor or a senator. You know, we never know when somebody steps into the presidency who the great ones are going to be and who the washouts are going to be. There's something undefinable about the presidency where it's almost impossible to tell. But when you have a president, and one of our best ones, who's running now, that's a big leg up. I mean, he can say, I've already done it. I've already created the best economy in 50 years. No doubt about it. I've already produced the best economy in particular for blacks and for Hispanics, and highest wages ever, most employment ever. I created a safe world. There isn't a person, unless they're lying, that believes that Putin would have invaded Ukraine if he were president. Now think of all the lives that would have been saved if we had a real president, a president that doesn't go and talk to Mr. Z and not know that he's in Cambodia and mixes it up with Colombia.
Yeah, by the way, even a delivery, by the way, Rudy, was such a contrast because there was such a clarity and such a feeling of strength when he was speaking. I want to make sure I also get to the fact that federal prosecutors dropped the foreign lobbying charges against you. Did you feel that this was always just a big political agenda? And it was so interesting that they didn't really even tell you the basis. They go into your apartment, they go into your office. Were you surprised that at least they finally finished it and said no charges?
No, I knew they had finished about 3 months earlier. I knew they would finish and there would be no charges. They're not. The Southern District is not some of the other prosecutors' offices. They may have kind of gotten overzealous in one or two circumstances back during the Trump impeachment and stuff like that. But it may be the only thing we have left. It's still a sound prosecutor's office. And although I do suspect, and maybe I'm wrong, they could have put it out before the election and waited. And I'd be surprised at that unless justice held it up. But I was actually secretly in my heart very happy the Southern District did that. Because I know I'm innocent. And I know that the pursuit of me was unfair. Well, they didn't know that until they looked at the evidence. But given the political climate we live in and the entirely corrupt attorney general that we have, the pressure on them to do something is enormous. So I got great respect for them making that decision. And they could have just let it float. You know, a lot of times you never even bothered to announce the conclusion of a grand jury investigation. So it took guts to do that. It went against the grain of what the Justice Department is doing right now, which is to persecute anybody connected with Donald Trump. And I'm sure the people who decided this, vast majority of them, are probably don't like Donald Trump or me for our politics. But I'll give you another example that people don't pay any attention to. This is a great example that make us feel better. I was also dropped from the January 6th case, and so was Donald Trump Jr., by an Obama-appointed judge who has written very scathing language about January 6th, even language that I would consider somewhat exaggerated. But he was able to look at the evidence like a lawyer and say, there's no evidence that they did anything to incite violence. And the phrase they were using on me, trial by combat, referred to comparing two machines to each other. And it was clearly not incendiary. I don't think anybody even applauded, much less got all worked up.
Let me ask you, Rudy.
He took the time to actually look at it fairly, and he has to. When you read the rest of what he writes, you can see he's somewhat, biased on the other side, like all of us are in one way or another. But he didn't let that affect dropping me and Donald Trump Jr. And
no, you're right. And by the way, that speaks volumes, just as you said, because it was an Obama appointee. Rudy, I want to make sure, before I let you go, because it's so much important stuff, I just want to get your reaction to the independent counsel being appointed, because you talked about, sort of the attacks on President Trump. I haven't had a chance to ask your reaction to that, because this was stunning. Garland coming out. What do you make of that?
These are make-believe crimes. I mean, this is a dispute over records in which already they've taken it down from the hysterical exaggeration that originally existed, that there were nuclear secrets. Well, there's nothing nuclear about them, that he did anything untoward with them. There's no evidence he did anything wrong with them. They were just in the wrong place, arguably. He says they were in the right place because he was the president and he took them when he was the president. And there is an argument he has the right to do that. There's also an argument that he doesn't. This is a civil disagreement that if they would tell the truth, they have with every president. Obama still has all kinds of records he hasn't digitized. I mean, how many years is he out of the White House? I digitized my records in 2 years. He's still working on it. So there's no crime here. And then the whole idea of the fake electors, they weren't fake. They were presented exactly for what they were. They were alternative electors if those legislatures should change their mind.
Yeah, and by the way, so many people are saying, they're like rehashing all this stuff over and over again.
They're not even crimes. They're not even. They make them up. They say they're crimes, and they're not.
And sorry, Rudy, because we got a quick break here. But Rudy, thank you very, very much. Sorry, I always love having you on. I could talk to you for an hour, but it's great to have you.
So much to talk about. You do a great job.
Thank you, my friend. Great to have you here too. Thank you so much, Rudy. We appreciate it.